It was a triumph of taxidermy.
Another big night for Joe Biden, who will add to his delegate lead over Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders with a series of wins tonight. The rest of the evening is shaping up very nicely for Joe Biden.
So what did we learn, America? First, politics is like real estate. Location, location, location. As forceful as Bernie's vision was, it was in the wrong place. America. Being a socialist in the most successful economy in history is like trying to sell Ben & Jerry's in Siberia. America listened to a 70-year-old try to sell a bad idea that's twice his age and said, no way. And that youth vote looks like the 50-plus crowd who pay their bills, make wiser choices. Surprise. Meanwhile, with Joe, that cardboard contraption may have structural flaws, but at least it's standing in the right place. Plus, he remembered his pants. As one wise man once said, perhaps yesterday on this very show, Dana, the Dems voting for Biden are purchasing a teardown. It's not for the structure, but the land. His VP pick may be in charge at some point if he wins. So voting for him is like snapping up a prime lot in which to build the Harris home, the Klobuchar castle, a Warren wigwam. Which is why the Dems want to end this thing before a debate. They know with each passing week, the weaknesses of what they're left with become more apparent. They should have blasted Sanders' radical leftism early on, but they kind of liked the look of agreeing with him. So he's going nowhere.
Donald Trump must be defeated, and I will do everything in my power to make that happen. On Sunday night, in the first one-on-one debate of this campaign, the American people will have the opportunity to see which candidate is best positioned to accomplish that goal. I very much look forward to the debate in Arizona with my friend Joe Biden.
So the Dems had two choices: the radically wrong, who honestly reflects the party's secret socialism, or the conventional codger, who'll limp to the finish line to deliver someone younger and new, like Hillary. It could work. But if they don't get Biden prepped and propped before Trump, it'll be like feeding old-growth logs to a wood chipper. All right, Jesse, Bernie's staying in, huh? Do you think here's a conspiracy?
Yeah.
He's staying in because he's not sure Joe's going to make it to the end before the convention, right? He's not going to make it to the convention, and if he doesn't make it to the convention, then Bernie's going to go, here I am, everybody.
Yeah, he's hedging his bets. But just before we get into this, Greg, you've fallen in love with this teardown analogy.
Yes, I have.
You're going to use this thing every day until the convention. I'm going to get sick of it. So just, America, you've been warned. I do think this debate is a big test for Joe.
Yeah.
He's a terrible debater. He's probably lost every single one of the debates he was in, yet is still standing. I don't think he's going to do one-on-one well against Bernie Sanders. I just don't, and I feel bad for him, and I don't feel bad for anybody.
That's true.
I have very little empathy for anybody.
You're a cold
but
person.
It's going to be a sad situation. He loses his temper with regular voters. How is he going to do against Donald Trump? Trump's going to make his head spin. Joe Biden just is not presidential timber.
Ooh.
He's a bad communicator. He's not that sharp, has poor instincts, and has no magnetism. The guy does not have what it takes. He's been in the Senate for 36 years. He was VP for 8 years.
Actually thinks he's still running for the Senate.
Exactly. He doesn't even know what he's running
I'm
for.
running for the U.S. Senate.
He's passed his due date. His brother's involved with fraud charges. His son is stiffing his baby mama and blamed it on coronavirus.
I love that.
It's not a good look for Joe.
They got that worked out today.
But Bernie had his back against the wall and didn't throw a punch. I mean, it doesn't look like Bernie wanted it, and I think everybody watching him knows that once you praise communism, there's no way you're going to beat Donald Trump. Black America went with Joe, and that was all she wrote. But if you think about it, Bernie had no chance to beat Donald Trump. Joe Biden had better than no chance, but that's still not a very good chance. So at the end of the day, the only thing you can say about Joe is he saved his party from socialism.
What do you think, Nancy? Do you have any strong predictions?
Well, the reality is that even if Sanders does a horrible job, even if Biden does a horrible job against Sanders, which he will, doesn't matter, because the Democrats have coalesced, congealed around Biden. So no matter what happens, that's what it's going to be, Trump v. Biden. And I've got to say that Sanders has passion. He believes it, even though it is socialism like Cuba. But I don't think Biden has any clue about what's going on now. Jill Biden ran. That might be an entirely different story. Remember when she blocked that person
well,
that was
maybe
running
if
up to her?
Bernie starts going after Joe, Jill can jump on stage and knock him down.
She is a doctor, and we need a doctor in these trying times, Juan. What is your analysis, Mr. Williams?
Well, it seems to me that Joe Biden had a great night last night. I don't think there's much of a way you could conceive of him not being the nominee at this juncture.
True.
But I do think that even though you have the lead and the ball, you can fumble. Or you can throw an interception. Who was that? I think, was it the Seattle Seahawks threw an interception at the goal line? On the 1 yard line. So I think these things happen, right. But I do think that what you're saying about Joe Biden reminds me of what you said about Joe Biden way back. Oh, he's made so many mistakes. He's a stiff. He can't debate. He makes the gaffe. Guess what? Joe Biden is doing pretty good.
But that's because of the congealing.
No, it's not.
They congeal like rancid butter.
Let me just say, the
congealing.
voters, the Democratic voters are not congealing. Real people went and cast their votes.
That's true.
For Joe Biden,
because
and
it was
that's
a choice
the truth.
between a confused man and a communist.
No,
just
you know
because he's
what?
not a communist
It's
doesn't
a
make him
choice
great.
between a decent, upstanding, proven public servant and Donald Trump. You make the choice.
Wrong.
Oh yeah.
Give us your expertise.
Okay, so Biden, I think, went to Michigan once.
Yes.
He won every single county in Michigan.
Right.
And higher margins than in 2016 that Bernie got. And I think that everybody should look at 2016. The Democrats, in their zeal for Bernie Sanders, because he has passion, and he has these ideas, and everyone
can
feels like
give a
they have to
speech,
debate
too.
these ideas. The truth is, I don't think that the Democrats were as far left as some of us were thinking.
Right.
They just could not stand Hillary.
Yeah.
If you look at these breakdowns, white men voted for Bernie in 2016. No, they all went for Biden in 2020 because they did not like the choice between Bernie and Hillary.
Right.
And that is so then that lesson was not learned. So now you have Biden, who now you have to go to a debate to debate these ideas with Bernie Sanders that have been rejected across the country by Democrats who are actually voting.
Can I, to that point, I have some sound on tape, saw it to you people at home, of Bernie talking about this, how he's winning the generational battle. Let's play that for the heck of it.
And I've got it.
We are winning the generational debate. While Joe Biden continues to do very well with older Americans, especially those people over 65, our campaign continues to win the vast majority of the votes of younger people. And I am talking about people not just in their 20s, but in their 30s and their 40s.
All right.
Well, the thing is, you can have a movement, and that's great.
I do.
A lot of people like to have a movement or two a day. The thing is, if your movement
disgusting.
if your movement
come out of your
isn't-
mouth, Dan.
I'm just so frustrated with this whole thing about Bernie Sanders is so amazing. Okay, so you have young people that come to your rallies and they love you, and they do love you. I get it, and they will vote for you. They will vote for you, but in these tiny little numbers, it doesn't matter if you're not moving the needle. So yeah, there are older voters. They just chose somebody else.
Do you know what the irony is that MTV started Rock the Vote, and now those are the older voters, and they're rocking the vote. One?
So, in fact, what Bernie says is true. He won voters 18 to 34 and even under 45, but not by large margins. And to reiterate what Dana just said, they didn't turn out. They didn't turn out. So, he can go after trade policy, he can go after health care, and a lot of Democrats are going to agree with him. But ultimately, as he said, they don't agree that he's the best candidate to beat Donald Trump.
And it also hurts him when he brings Omar on stage or AOC on stage. And, you lose a lot of working class voters when you go crazy Green New Deal extreme.